Hello people of YouTube, this is Track6606, and once again I'm going to make another how-to video for you guys, for those who don't know how. And so what I'm going to do here is, it's been requested a while ago, and I just got some other people that have been wanting it, that has been wanting the video, so I went ahead and I'm going to make it now. So I do apologize for those people that asked me before, that I haven't made it. I've been tight on things, as some may know. Okay, so I'm gonna. This is gonna be a hover tutorial video. I'm gonna show you guys how to do some hovers, some torque rolls, and maybe even a little bit, maybe even some Harriers. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for this video here. Right now, I'm gonna fly with this this Slick 540. There's a 126-inch Slick 540. I downloaded from swap pages. It's basically a big giant baby. It just floats, and it's needs a little bit of tweaking to do, needs a little bit of tweaking, but it does handle hovers really well because of its large wingspan. So I'm going to do a little bit of that with this thing here, and then I'm also going to do an aircraft that's on the simulator for those who don't know how to download or don't want to download aircraft from the swap pages. I understand if you guys are worried about possible viruses and stuff like that. Just letting you guys know that swap pages is very secure. But if you guys are still not too sure about that and you want to fly just the aircrafts that are on the simulator, I completely understand that. So I'll show you guys on another plane that's going to be fairly good to hover, and a good beginner plane for hovering. So alright, I'm going to begin with this plane right here. Okay, so what you're going to do, this plane right here is a very large plane. It floats really well, and it's so much easier to hover because of its large wingspan. So for those starting off, bigger is better. Bigger is going to be more. It's going to basically stay in the air longer. It's not going to be as twitchy. So, and that's the same thing with real life as well. All right, so I'm going to fly this plane here, and I'll show you probably another one in the simulator. So I usually fly on high rates. Well, I fly on high rates, period. But I'd recommend flying on high rates because you get better control. It is more sensitive, but you will get better response and better control out of the aircraft. Okay, so first thing you want to do is, now I can go to a hover straight away, and you can do that, but I would recommend you always want to try to get into a hover by doing some regular flying. So what I do is just fly around for a little bit. Alright, I'm going to come on in and I'm going to pull on the stick, and I'm going to use some explain of how I'm into that position. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slow down my throttle, then I'm going to pull up and then give it some throttle. Now, when you do that, your plane wants to turn to the left or to the right because of the torque of the engine. So you're going to immediately want to put a little bit of left aileron and left rudder. So right now, the torque of the engine wants to turn the plane clockwise, but I want to keep it and I want to keep it straight. So I'm going to have to put some right aileron to keep it in that straight position and to prevent it from going clockwise. So that's done through the torque of the engine. So that's something that you're going to have to work with. It's always easier to have the plane in this position versus letting the plane do its own thing, because every time the plane turns around, your controls are changing. So alright, so when you're in this position, I'll explain a little more about when you're getting into the hover, but once you're in the hover, it's basically very small movements. Now you want a large scale plane like this because your movements are going to be very slow, and that's what you want. You don't want anything that's going to be twitchy that requires a lot of input. You want something that's large like this where it doesn't really require that much input, and it's has a lot of power in the engine, so it's very stable, and you don't need to have full throttle or anything to keep it in the air. This plane right here is a perfect example for hovers and for everything like that. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting some right aileron to keep this plane straight, so the top of the plane is facing towards me. That's where all your controls are going to be. Like if it was in a forward position, like going away from you, where all your controls are not backwards, but it's vertical. So I have this plane like this. I'm putting a little. If you see every once in a while, I'm just putting a very little bit of aileron. That right there is not too hard to keep that plane straight. Now throttle, I'm going anywhere between 50 to 60%. Every once in a while I'll droop up to around 70 to 75%. throttle. But that's just to keep this plane straight. Now, if I try to smooth it out and keep it at a right there, I'm about 63% or so. I'm not sure. I'm not on my DX18 radio where it tells me the percentage. I'm on the actual Interlink radio right now. So it doesn't exactly tell me, but I'm guessing anywhere between the 60 to 65 range. So right there, this is a very well controlled hover. Very stable. It's a very stable plane. So now every once in a while, and a lot of people they'll get in the rhythm and they'll fluctuate with their elevator like this. I do this a lot with torque roll. Rolling Harriers. It just gets me in the rhythm. So if you guys are wondering why people do this, it just helps you get keep your fingers busy and get you in the rhythm. At least that's what it does for me. So now what I'm doing is, and it's a little tricky to do it, is your elevator, because now the plane is vertical. It's hard to tell exactly if the plane is going forward or backwards. So it's very hard to tell which direction it's going. A good way to tell is to have the plane sideways. So, and maybe in this position right here, because then you can see the pitch of the plane a lot better. See, you'll be able to see it a lot better. So, I recommend trying to get very close to the side of you, but not too close where things get a little crazy there, like that. So you start losing a little bit of control. I'm still learning how to do sideways and backwards, but so you wouldn't want to go in that position because you have to lose your orientation. Hovers are probably one of the most fun, and probably once you master it, it's probably one of the easiest maneuvers to do when it comes to 3D maneuvers. You're definitely gonna like hovering, because overall it's just a lot of fun, because you never see a large-scale plane vertical. So once your ailerons are going to be probably one of your easiest things. Your throttle control, that's another big key. But you always want to keep very smooth the throttle. You want to keep very smooth on all your controls. No big inputs like this, because your plane is going to be all over the place and you're going to lose control. You want to be very smooth with your controls. You want to be very, very smooth. Even with the aileron, even though every once in a while I'll jerk a little bit to keep it going, I've been doing this for a while, so I can move around and I can get out of this these positions and stuff. So you want to be very smooth with your ailerons. If it's going like this, okay, don't jerk on it. Just be very smooth with it and try to slowly bring it back. Okay, so your aileron is going to be a little tricky to, probably the easiest thing to get right, to keep it stable. Your throttle control is going to be your next step. Now your next thing, of course, and then your elevator is probably going to be your third thing. So your elevator is going to be controlling the pitch forward and backwards of the plane. The aileron is going to be controlling the stability of, as well, like ailerons always do, left and right. So, and their throttle is the same thing as throttle. So it keeps it in the air, glitching up a little bit here. Sorry, guys. So your next thing is going to be your rudder, and that's going to be that's the hardest thing, at least for me, to learn on a hover. Your rudder is going to keep it from banking left and banking right, and you're going to keep it stable. Your rudder is a very big key, and I actually move the rudder probably more than any of my other control surfaces. So the rudder is probably the most sensitive of it, because if I don't do any rudder whatsoever, you can see that the plane wants to tilt over. And now what I'm doing is I'm basically using the aileron and elevator to turn the plane to get me back in that position. So without rudder, it's hard to hover. So see, right now it wants to tank over, so I'm going to have to turn the plane and pull back to keep that thing in that hover. It's extremely challenging. So your rudder is your biggest key. So just like the rudder does, left rudder, plane's going to go bank to the left. Right rudder, your plane's going to bank to the right. So that's something that you're going to have to really work on quite a bit. And again, very small movements. Look at my radio, guys. You don't see me jerking around the sticks. Well, right there you did. But right now, I'm in a steady hover. I'm barely putting any movements. Now, just like the aileron, how I'm using a lot of right aileron to keep it stable, I'm also using a lot of left rudder to keep the plane vertical. The plane's going to want to also tilt towards the right. So you want a little bit more left. I'm always having a little bit of left rudder. Alright, so that's basically how to keep it stable. Now let's go on to a torque roll. Now torque roll is another hover maneuver that basically you're allowing the torque of the engine to turn the plane sideways. This is something that's really challenging that I'm still learning myself. So you still want your throttle control. This time you've eliminated ailerons completely. This is where it gets challenging because now you're just relying on your throttle control, aileron, and your elevator and your rudder. So just your throttle is going to be your basic procedure. Start falling, put over throttle. Start doing high, you let go of the throttle. Very simple. But now you got to use your rudder and your elevator to control the plane and keep it stable, even when your controls are backwards. That's where it gets challenging, guys. So, and you got to keep that motion going. So, like I've said back here, when you're in a normal hover like this, so when the top of the plane is facing you, you got your left to left, right to right, forward is further away, back is closer to you, and I run out of fuel right there. So, all right, that sucked. I ran out of fuel. All right, so there we go. So kind of like a helicopter. This is almost like a helicopter almost when you're in this position, because a helicopter, it's when your the tail drifts out, you have to use the opposite direction to pull it back in, and then your elevator, forward is forward, back is back. So you're going to want to, it's almost like it's very similar to a helicopter control almost. So now when you're letting it do a torque roll, you've got the side motion. Now what usually helps me think is I try to remember if I was standing in that position and I was looking at the wing of the plane, what movements would I have to do? Because looking at it now, the side wing, oh man, I don't know. Now my elevator is acting like a rudder, and my rudder is acting more like an elevator. So it's a little bit challenging. Now when you get backwards here, see, right now I'm still learning myself, guys, so I apologize for not being, it's like me not being perfect. But your controls are really mixed up now, because now your rudder is backwards and your elevator is backwards. So that's something that you're definitely going to have to practice on and to learn how to do backwards hovers for now. But that could be another day. Your main focus is going to be, regular hovers like this. But in an attempt of a torque roll here, you're gonna have to learn the whole 4 principles here. You're gonna have to learn your normal position right here. Then you have to learn where this position here, where the top of the wing is facing away from you. And then your backwards position, and then then your other. Where am I going? There we go. Then your other position where the top of the wing is facing your right. So you gotta learn those positions. Where the top of the wing is facing you, top of the wing is facing your left, back is facing you, and top of the plane is facing your right. So that's the 4 principles you're gonna have to learn for a torque roll. Now you can also have your own torque roll where you use the ailerons to make a torque roll and speed it up faster. I did these kind of torque rolls first before I did the actual torque roll. The engine is creating the torque, and not your ailerons. These are a little bit easier because it's faster, so you're able to correct it a little bit better. So let's just say, alright, I don't know how to do all the other principles, I only know how to do step 1 right here. Okay, so as it's spinning, I don't know how to make my controls. Oh, now I can make my controls. Oh, now I don't know how to correct it. Now I can correct it. Don't know how to correct it. Now I know how to correct it. You see how much quicker it is versus this right here. Okay, I'll make my corrections, okay, oops, now I don't know what to do. And then, okay, I make my corrections. See how much longer it takes for the engine to turn the plane completely around? So if you don't know how to make those corrections, you kind of, gonna lose it. So when you make your control, it goes a lot faster, so you're able to make your corrections real quick, and then wait around, make corrections. So over time, then you'll be able to adjust and figure in just by figuring out. You'll be able to, just by practicing, you'll be able to figure out how to do the rest of it. So like my biggest feature is like when the plane is in this position, like I said before, I always act like I'm behind the plane, and the top of the plane is facing me. Same thing when it's backwards. It's hard to do. It takes practice to think that way, but just trying to think that the aircraft is always in front of you works a lot better. Same thing with helicopters. That's what I did with helicopters. Was I always tried to make myself in front of the or behind the helicopter at all times. So it's definitely something that's going to require some practice, but with a little bit of practice, you guys are going to get it. Okay, so now let's focus on that approach. The approach is always one of the hardest, well, not really the hardest thing, but it's always something tricky, because once you get in the position, then the plane wants us to sit there. Once the plane is vertical, it wants to sit there. Getting there takes some time. So I'm going to get some airspeed, and I'm going to try to make a good entry. I'm going to go real slow, but I'm going to go into an entry here, and watch my controls as I go in. That one actually was very easy right there. Usually it's a little bit trickier. May have to explain that on a different aircraft, but that one right there was a little bit easier there. So let's try that again. Alright, so throttle off. It's going to be a little slower this time. And there we go. Immediately I put an aileron in there to prevent that, and right aileron and left rudder to prevent it from torquing over, because if I just control that elevator, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. See how it wants to bank? Got to have your left rudder and your right aileron. Alright, so let's try a different aircraft here. This one is available on swap pages. My interlink's not working. Okay, so I'm going to have to scroll down myself. Alright, so I'm going to have to reset to get that interlink to work. Alright, so I'm going to try to look for a really good example, a really good plane that's built into the simulator that's great for hovering. Now, probably one of the easiest ones is probably going to be PAU Edge 540. Another good one is probably going to be the SBOC 342, which is right here. Now, I have made my brushless version. It's on swap pages, and it handles really, really well. It's very similar to this larger plane. It's very smooth, and it's the center of gravity and the power of the plane. I customized it, and I made it right. I've been working on that thing for about past three simulators, and I finally got it right. So I'm going to go back to the Edge 540 because that electric version, nobody has unless you download it from swap pages. But if you don't want to do that, this is a plane that's already built in. You can use the gasoline version, but this probably is a little bit better. All right, so it's a smaller plane, smaller aircraft, 36% instead of 40%. Actually, 42%. And we're going to do the same procedure. So I'm going to get some airspeed here, and then I'm just going to fly and go into a hover. Alright, so I'm going to cut my motor back. So it's going to be more of a stall than anything. That was a little slow there, but right away I had to put a little bit of aileron and rudder into that. So let's get it closer here. There we go. Alright, so this one here, for torque roll, it's the same procedure. And this one's a little bit faster because this plane right here, of course, has been professionally made by the RealFlight team and not by another person which knows a lot what they're doing, is not as quite knowledgeable as the RealFlight team because they make their aircraft pretty good. So as for the torque rolls, it handles it really, really well. Very stable. Alright. Making your own torque roll is quite faster, so this plane right here is very easy to handle. I'd still probably recommend the other one because it's not as twitchy, but if you don't want to download, I would recommend this one. So that's pretty much mostly hands off. Now, here's another key feature that I would recommend for if you want to learn how to do torque rolls like this. Before you master your rudder, just work on your elevator. Like, do your rudder when you have the plane is facing towards you, the top of the plane is facing towards you, but work on your elevator first, then work on your rudder. That's always probably the easiest way to learn. Okay, so now one thing I haven't gotten to yet is Harriers. Harriers is like a hover, but you're in a forward motion. They require a little bit more work, especially with your ailerons and your elevator. Not much your rudder, but that's right there is a Harrier, where you're almost into a hover, but you're still going in a forward motion. Now, one thing about Harriers is they are hard to turn. You always got to have a lot of aileron and basically use the rudder to steer it. And then rolling Harriers will be something else that I'll explain later on. If you guys are interested in learning how to do rolling Harriers, I'll make a video about that. So I think that's about it, guys. I hope this helps for anybody who's learning how to hover. Oh yeah, so one more thing is, if once you get to the point like this and you want to do some moving around, basically just move your control surface a little bit further than normal to keep it in one position. Sorry for the lag. To move it from right, forward, left, and back. And once you get a little past that, you can do some really cool things. All right, so I hope this helps out anybody who is learning how to hover, and feel free to ask me any other questions in the comments below, or as a private message, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you guys have. If you want a little more help when it comes to maneuvers, you can always ask if you or you can either ask or go on to the online on the simulator online and try to get in touch with me. It's always best to reply a message, and if you want to set up a time or you just want to go in there, I'll let you know what my possibly my server or what kind of servers I usually go on. If you guys want to do a one-on-one session, I can do that. I'll be more than happy to do that. Just let me know, set up a time. I'll let you know what my server name is, and we can do that for anybody who really wants to go a little bit further and want to learn more, or maybe struggling a little bit more and wants to just get a little bit more help. I am more than happy to help you guys with anything. Alright, so yeah, like I said, I hope this helps for anybody. I hope this for anybody that's learning, I hope this is exactly what you guys were looking for. And for those that are doing, that are prepping for this, great job. I'm glad you guys are really motivated to continue or to learn better, learn more on this amazing hobby. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody watching. Leave a comment below if you have any other questions. Just let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. All right. Well, this is Jack 6646 saying good day and good night.